So the NEET examination is a common entrance examination for the filling of the MBBS and BDS seats and other courses in the All India. So when we see the NEET paper, so biology will be of 90 questions. So in this both botany and zoology will be clubbed together. So when we prepare the botany subject, the student must follow carefully the prescribed subject textbook and the instructions from the lecturer, as well as some strategy must be maintained in the preparation. Suppose we take the botany subject in the first chapter of the botany, the living world. It is common for both biological sciences of botany and zoology, but when we see particularly the botany aspects in the living world, the binomial nomenclature in the ICBN is very important, and along with this the preparation and maintenance of the herbarium. So when we see the biological nomenclature, how to name the plant, then what are the guidelines given in the ICBN. Suppose whether species name must be written only with the capital letter or a small letter, that we must know first. Then suppose we write the name of the plant total in capitals, is it correct or not? Then different guidelines in the preparation of herbarium. Then what information we can get the herbarium from the herbarium. Then how to identify the plant using the herbarium and the different aids of the keys. Or we can say for example, a plant is given, how to identify, the description is essential. Then following the description we must see the herbarium and identify the plant. Sometimes a herbarium means it may be a specimen preserved in a liquid, or sometimes we can draw a diagram according to the scale, or a clay model made according to the scale is also considered as a herbarium. All these aspects must be known to the student. So this is a purely a practical oriented topic. So student must be very carefully prepare the binomial nomenclature, different guidelines given in the ICBN, as well as preparation of herbarium, what information we get from the herbarium and what information we cannot get from the herbarium. Suppose a plant is being prepared into a herbarium, whether we can collect the plant without a flower or we can collect the plant with the roots. So all these aspects must be understood clearly by the student. So in the second topic, like in biological sciences or biological classification, so for the purpose of academics we study generally 5 kingdom classification, but elsewhere in the textbook or in understanding the taxonomy we study the 2 kingdom classification. In the biological classification, for example, we can see the characteristic features of the Monera or Protista or fungi. All this must be studied thoroughly. For example, in the fungi, the cell wall chemical composition, whereas in the bacteria or actinomycetes, the reproductive methods or cell wall composition is essential for the examination purpose. Then in the case of the biological classification, a lot of importance will be given in the NEET examination. So nearly 2 to 3 questions may be asked in the examination from this chapter alone. Viruses are there, viroids are there, and regarding this in our particular textbook, the second year textbook consisting the description as well as the characteristic features of the virus. In the viruses particularly, the multiplication of the virus, it is not given in the first year, that biological classification. Only classification aspects can be discussed, but the characteristic features of the virus must be found in the second year textbook. So we have to club together these 2 topics in preparing the topic. Then coming to the bacteria, so in the unit of life regarding the bacteria, it is described as a prokaryote, whereas in the biological classification it is described under the bacteria, whether it is a eubacteria or archaebacteria. So characteristic features of the bacteria, information given in the first topic as well as in the other topics, they must be clubbed together in the entire textbook or in the entire syllabus. Then when we see the third topic or third chapter, so different scientist names are given there. All these scientist names are gathered from different topics and put together in the textbook. So in the classification we have to follow the scientist names, as well as in the subject also we have to follow the scientist name, and these scientist names when we come across elsewhere, all of them must be clubbed together in understanding the topic here. Then coming to the fourth topic, that is a plant kingdom. So plant kingdom is a very important topic, and in this plant kingdom some discrepancy can be seen when compared to the 5 kingdom classification. So some of the examples are written in the plant kingdom. So those are classified as a second case, two kingdom classification, but the characters may be found in the five kingdom classification also. For example, algae is given. Then algae important features we must learn. It may not be written in the textbook, but important features of the algae. Then coming to the bryophytes, then pteridophytes or gymnosperms. Evolutionary aspects of all these groups of plants must be studied thoroughly, and it is essential also for the understanding the topic. Without understanding the important features of all these groups, it is very difficult to write any question from this plant kingdom. So algae may have different features and bryophytes also have different features. Then how these features in evolution has developed into different features of the pteridophytes. For example, when we see in the plant kingdom different groups are described, and this description of the plant kingdom groups, so important features of every group is important. Then evolutionary aspects of these groups also very important to understand the actual features of the group members. For example, in the algae gametophytic stage is dominant, whereas in bryophyte also gametophytic stage is dominant, but sporophyte is also developed. Then what is the criteria for calling a stage as a dominant? So dominant stage may depends on the lifespan of the plant or complexity of the tissues, or it may be the nutrition. So these aspects must be understood to understand the evolutionary aspects in all these groups. Then suddenly when pteridophytes evolved from the bryophytes, certain features in addition to the normal features present in the bryophytes have appeared in the pteridophytes. So they have developed vasculature, and this vasculature, for example, we can see stellar evolution, and the stellar evolution must be understood thoroughly to see how the pteridophytes are adjusted to the land. Then pteridophytes evolved into gymnosperms. Then in this all these evolutionary aspects, what are the important features of reproduction, then morphological features as well as anatomical features. Then some type studies also essential. In many examinations, one or two examples may be given from outside the syllabus. It is not outside the syllabus, actually it is a depth of the syllabus. So once we study the characteristic features of a plant, then we must know to which group a plant can be identified, or in which group a plant may be included, depending on the features we can study in these plant groups. So in the gymnosperms, it is essential to study one type study. For example, in the cycas, different features of the cycas must be studied so that we can understand the gymnosperms there. So when we see the classification, biological classification is all of them are prokaryotes, or it may be monera, or it is a fungi. Then coming to the plant kingdom, it is continued with algae or bryophytes or pteridophytes or gymnosperms. It is easy or advisable to study all these groups simultaneously so that evolutionary aspects can be understood. So regarding the classifications, generally we study the five kingdom classification. Important features like in how many groups of the classification plants are there with autotrophic nature, or plants are there with a different reproductive abilities, or plants are there with a different aspects, anatomical or morphological aspects. So these important topics may not be found in the textbook, but it is a implied guidance or implied guidelines from the textbook, so that we have to prepare some additional knowledge based questions. Then when we see the fifth chapter or morphology of the flowering plants, it is generally a practical oriented topic. So in the practicals, we study every part of the plant, for example root or stem or inflorescence or flower or fruit. Entire practical aspects here is importance will be given to the description of the plant parts as well as morphological changes or adaptations we have to study in the topic. So even though this topic is a very small, different questions can be asked based on the technical description or definitions of the different organs. Suppose we say, so what is a drupe, or what is a pepo, then what is a homogamy, then what is a cleistogamy. All these aspects we have to be thorough. That is the definitions. Then identification of small differences in the definition also the student must learn. Otherwise, he cannot answer the definitions of the different technical words. For example, we can say what is a glaucous leaf. then what is a glabrous leaf, then what is a epipetalous condition, then what is a monodelphous condition. All this must be learned thoroughly. Then in the particularly in the case of the morphology of the plants, the fruits also very important. So which part of the fruit is edible, that is a morphologically which part of the fruit is edible, that is the economic importance of the plant is also essential. So in the classification of this angiosperms, different families are given in our textbook, covering just 3 families are there, Fabaceae or Solanaceae and Liliaceae. So what are the different features of a Fabaceae? By which characters we can identify the Fabaceae, or by which characters we can identify the Solanaceae or Liliaceae members. So different members of this families also is very important, along with their vernacular names. So vernacular name may be given, so that we have to identify the scientific name. So generally in the NEET examination, a group of plants or a group of organisms will be given, so that we can identify how many of the following can have such a character. For example, plenty of seeds names will be given. Seeds of different plants will be given. You have to identify how many seeds are consisting of endosperm. Then we must know definitely every seed character. And this is a knowledge based question. No other seed except present in the textbook will be given as a in the question, so that it is easy to identify, but clubbing together all this information from the 2nd, 4th or 5th chapter is very, very essential. Suppose a plant may be unisexual. So unisexual plants may be given in different chapters. For example, a chapter may be given the classification of the plants, or sometimes in the plant breeding. All these names of the plants must be clubbed together, so that a student can easily identify the answer. So some aspects of this question generally it will not be given outside the textbook. For example, Fabaceae is having stamens with different heights. In textbook we do not find that answer there. So different heights of the stamens can be seen in certain plants, only those plants we have to remember. For example, in Salvia or in the Brassica, the stamens are of different height, but in the Fabaceae also we can find stamens with a different height. As such information is not given in the textbook, we need not remember about it. In answering these questions generally, what we have to follow is, so we have to see the question carefully, and then from which chapter this name of the plant or organism is given, so that we can remember easily and identify the answer there. So in particular in the 5th chapter, that is a plant morphology, so many questions may be there, and these questions sometimes may not be strictly adhere to the definitions given in the textbook. For example, pepper may be there. Sometimes a pepper also may be called as a berry. So berry is a fleshy fruit. So these kind of aspects a student must be careful. So we can eliminate certain options and can identify the answer very easily. So in this student must always try to remember, write down and recollect, so that he can identify the answer very easily. Then in the taxonomy, certain taxonomic features like artificial system or natural system or phylogenetic system may be there. So what are the difference between the artificial system or natural system, or it may be phylogenetic, and who are the different authors of this artificial system, then what are the books written by them, then what are the characteristic features of the book, and then what information we can get from the book. For example, we can say artificial system of classification written by Linnaeus. So what is the basic criteria he has selected in describing the plants? So it is generally we can say it is stamens. So stamens, based on the stamens, how many groups he has divided, and whether he classified the plants of angiosperms or both gymnosperms, angiosperms or pteridophytes also included. So this kind of information, it may not be present in the textbook, but it is a implied guidance from the textbook, so that we have to get some information from the other sources also. Then coming to the cell organelles, that is a unit of life. So description of the membrane is very, very essential. So thorough knowledge regarding the membrane structure is very essential, so that based on this we can understand the first chapter in the 2nd year, that is a transportation. So membrane allows the different substances to cross through it, so that here we have to understand the membrane structure thoroughly, so that we can easily identify the different substances that can cross the membrane. So membrane structure is very important. Then cell wall components of different organisms. For example, organisms like a fungi or a bacteria or actinomycetes, cell wall components we have to understand thoroughly, so that in the preparation of any topic, information present in the entire textbook or in the 2 years textbooks, we have to gather them and collect at one as a one aspect, and we have to study thoroughly, otherwise a holistic approach is not possible. Then cell organelles, regarding the cell organelles. So, this cell organelles like plastids or ribosomes, or it may be mitochondria, and their metabolic activities, to which metabolic activity they are connected. So, it is better to study this metabolic activity briefly when we study that particular cell organelle. So, for example, plastid is there. So, plastid, morphology of the plastid and different plastids in different plant groups. So, for example, in the case of the algae, the plastid structure is not similar in all algal members, it may be different. So, these are difference also we have to identify in preparation of this plastid. Then respiration is associated with the mitochondria. Then at which part of the mitochondria the respiration take place. Then what are the difference between matrix, cell membrane, or the membrane of the mitochondria, inner mitochondrial membrane or outer mitochondrial membrane, all these aspects also we must understand. Then structure of the ribosome. In the structure of the ribosome, we have to associate this ribosome structure with the protein synthesis, so that we can understand very easily the protein synthesis aspect as well as the ribosome structure. So, in the units of cell, generally the cell organelles with some important characteristic features we have to remember, but in the examination very difficult questions will not be asked from this chapter. So, direct knowledge based. So, entire syllabus knowledge based questions may be there. So, this any student can easily identify, and those knowledge based questions will be generally from the taxonomy part as well as in the units of life, that is from the cytology. Then when coming to the biomolecules, that is the 10th chapter. So, most of the biomolecules information the student will get from the chemistry textbooks, but here biological aspects of this biomolecules the student has to study thoroughly. So, first is what are the carbohydrates, then what are the lipids, then what are the proteins, and different kind of proteins, different kind of lipids, and different kind of carbohydrates. Then here nucleic acids. This nucleic acid structure in first year it is not given very in detail, but to study the structure of the nucleic acid is very important in the first year itself, so that student can understand the structure of the DNA in the second year. So, in studying this biomolecules, particularly the structural features. So, generally in the examination, so not only the descriptive questions will be given, sometimes diagrams also will be given. So, in the diagrams when we see, immediately we have to identify the different kind of biomolecules, then the biomolecules where exactly they will be used in the metabolism. So, nucleic acid structure, then protein structure. The proteins are made up of amino acids, different amino groups, and amino acid nomenclature also we have to be very thorough, particularly in the case of the amino acids, whether the amino acids are basic or acidic or it may be neutral. Then what are the aromatic amino acids? All this information the student must know, because in all these all India examinations the most important chapter is one of the most important chapters is biomolecules. When coming to the cell division, it is a concept based. So, even after reading the textbook for 2 or 3 times, a student may not understand the, so what is the meiosis. So, here understanding the meiosis is very essential. For understanding the meiosis, the chromosome structure, how the chromosome will form during the cell division, then how it is going to divide during the mitosis, and how it behave in the meiotic division, that is very important. Then during the meiotic, different phases and characteristic features of the phases is also very important. So, without the basic knowledge of the meiosis, the understanding of the genetics will be very difficult, because in genetics the segregation understanding or it may be the assortment mainly depends on the chromosome structure. So, when we study the chromosome structure, so then we can understand very easily the meiosis. So, in studying the meiosis or studying the mitosis, the basic concept is very essential. So, in the questions based on the concept, So mainly from the physiology as well as in the cell division. So when we see the cell division, particularly the chromosome numbers are also very important, because the chromosome numbers and ploidity also we can study in the reproduction. So whenever we study this cell division, so student is advised to read the entire chapter at least 3 or 4 times to get a basic understanding of the topic. Otherwise it is very difficult to answer the questions from the same chapter as well as in the questions from the genetics in the second year. So reproduction chapter is also very important, particularly in the reproduction. The basic aspects of the reproduction, when we compare to the gymnosperms or pteridophytes or bryophytes with that of the angiosperms. So technical description of the different technical words here. So that is the definition of the words is very essential here. So what is a microspore, or the how the microspore is going to develop, then what is the difference between a gametophyte and sporophyte, then how the gametes will fuse, then what are the different aspects of the fertilization, then how the entire life cycle of the angiosperm is different from the life cycle of the pteridophytes or bryophytes, or it may be from the gymnosperms. So here particularly, so when we see the technical words there, so technical words like microspore mother cell, then what is a microspore, what is a nucellus, then what is a apomixis. So all these are technical words whenever they are defined particularly, and these definitions must be highly specific, otherwise the answering this kind of questions will be very difficult. Then when we see the anatomy, anatomy requires a 3-dimensional view for the student, otherwise it cannot be understood. So when we see the anatomy chapter particularly, it is a very dry topic. Then understanding of the cell structure, then meristematic cells, then difference between xylem and phloem, then difference between internal structure of the dicot stem or monocot stem or a root or it the leaf. Then all these aspects are very, very important for the examination point of view. Then understanding the secondary growth. So understanding the secondary growth is very difficult for the student without the proper knowledge of the internal 3-dimensional view of the plant, or it may be the leaf, that is a stem or leaf. So when we see the internal structure, how the vascular chemium develops, then what different kind of a tissues it is going to produce to the outside or to the inside. So this aspect is very important, so that we can understand, so what is a differentiation and what is a redifferentiation, and a different kind of a tissues arranged from the outside to the inside. So in the anatomy particularly, for example, if we take the dicot stem, so dicot stem that is undergone the secondary growth. So outermost layer is epidermis. So epidermis may be present or may not be present, but whenever we given the tissues, different tissues, epidermis must be the outermost, then followed by the periderm will be there. So the periderm consisting of 3 different layers, what is the outermost layer and what is the inner layer, then what are the different features of this periderm layers, also very important. Then followed by the cortex, and then phloem is there, then primary phloem or secondary phloem or vascular chemium. So different tissues present from outside to the inside or inside to the outside. The student must thoroughly understand, and he must refer 1 or twice the textbooks to understand or to remember these words there. Then particularly in the case of the leaf, so leaf internal structure always reflects the ecology of the plant. To understand the internal structure of the leaf, so this leaf structure also can be studied in the ecology, because in ecology the different environmental aspects influence the structure of the leaf. So when we know the different environmental aspects, you can easily identify what are the internal features of the leaf, particularly when we see the multiple epidermis is there. So when multiple epidermis is there, the plant is growing in a xerophytic condition, or whenever gums are there, resins are there, that is also a xerophytic adaptation. So this kind of aspects must be thoroughly understood by the student there. So in anatomy, so when we see the complex tissues like xylem and phloem, so this xylem and phloem, how it is going to develop, then what the different kind of vascular bundles can be seen, and compared to these vascular bundles into the vascular bundles of the pteridophytes. For example, in pteridophytes, steel is present. Steel is not distinguished into vascular bundles. Then always the steel is a protosteel. Then what are different types of the protosteels? So once we know the different structures, features of the vascular bundle, then only we can understand the stellar structures of the pteridophytes. So these are two aspects we must club together. So once again, so that we can understand the internal structures of the pteridophytes. Then in anatomy, so we can see some topics like features of phloem, then how it is different from the xylem, then how we can differentiate the xylem and phloem. So that is also very essential in the anatomy. Then coming to lastly to the ecology. So in ecology, plant communities, different plant communities we have to study, and these plant communities may be classified differently by different scientists, but we can study these plant communities based on the availability of the water. So that the plant communities may be water loving, or it may be xerophytes, or it may be mesophytes. Then what are the difference between hydrophytes or mesophytes or xerophytes? How we can identify? So what are the different plant organs we can see, so that we can identify the plant, whether it is a xerophyte, mesophyte, or it may be hydrophyte. So particularly the leaf will show all these adaptions. So once we see the internal structure of the leaf, we can easily identify whether it is a hydrophyte or xerophyte, or it may be mesophyte. This plant succession, what is a primary succession, what is a secondary succession, and then difference between primary and secondary succession, and different plant communities that are going to develop in the plant succession is also very important. So here we are not studying the evolutionary aspects, but ecological aspects of the photosynthesis or pollination is also very important. So in the photosynthesis, for example, we can say which plant communities can efficient or can prepare or reduce the carbon dioxide efficiently. For example, C3 plants, or it may be C4 plants. So we have to club the photosynthetic chapter with the ecological adaptations, so that how the plants are going to adjust to the different groups here. Here one important topic is there in the ecology. What is the role of the pollinators? Then what is the integral management of the crop? Then how we should protect the pollinators? So different pollinating agents we come across in the chapter reproduction. So in the reproduction we can say autogamy or allogamy or xenogamy, or it may be geitonogamy, and different pollinating agents are there. Then identification of the pollinating agent by observing the flower, whether wind pollinated agents are there. So wind pollinated plants are there, how the plant is adapted to the wind pollination. For example, we can say here reasoning is very important. For example, when we say a single ovule may be present in the wind pollinated plants, how we can justify the statement then? So whenever many ovules are there, all of them must be fertilized to become into seeds. So it is very difficult for the pollen which is present in the atmosphere, in the wind, so that it is always a pollination is a chance occurrence. So that if more ovules are there, it is difficult for the plant to collect more pollen grains. So one ovule, at least it can collect one pollen grain, so that one ovule is going to be fertilized. So that is the reason. So analytical questions, or it may be knowledge based questions. Knowledge based question in this particular aspect is presence of a single ovule, that is a knowledge based. Then why single ovule? So single ovule is to fertilize. If more ovules are there, that is difficult for the plant to collect the pollen grain from the wind. So that is a wind pollinated plant character. Then why the plumose stigma? Then why the exerted stamens, or why the exerted sex organs? Why the plant should not have any fragrance? So fragrance production or color production is a waste for the plant. So plant must conserve energy, so that it will avoid the production of a color or a large flowers or a colored flowers. Then in the insect pollination plants, they must be very large to attract insect. Then shape of the petals, so that a particular insect is suitable for as a pollinator in that particular plant. So all these aspects will not be given in the textbook, but a student must analyze. So repeated reading will get new ideas for the student, so that he can refer the textbook once again, or he can consult any expert, so that he will understand the concept there. Then water pollinated plants are there. So all of them we can group in the ecological adaptations. Ecological adaptations, so that pollinating agents are going to be used by the plant. Then wind pollination plants are very advanced. Then what are these advanced features? Why wind pollinated plants are very advanced? Because sometimes due to the change in the environment, insects may not be there, and due to the different agricultural practices also, insects may be get killed, but there is no place where wind is not present. So wind pollinated plants is very advanced. So in this advanced character, sometimes we can see the inflorescence like a catkin or inflorescence like spikes are considered as a very advanced, because they are adapted to the wind pollination. So these kind of analytical aspects of particularly the ecology in relation to the reproduction is very important for the student to understand. So the entire first year, when we see each and every chapter, when we study separately, thoroughly and understood, so that will give a good idea regarding what are the information that is given in the textbook. So that is useful for the knowledge. Then when we study once again or twice or thrice, we can get some ideas, so that analytical questions also can be asked or can be answered very easily. So in the examination, sometimes we can get questions like multiple choice questions or multiple answer questions. So question will be given, below that 4 options will be given. Out of these 4 options, 1 or 2 may be correct, or sometimes all of them may be correct. How to identify when 1 is correct or 2 are correct? Some strategy must be maintained here. So if one option is known, that is definitely correct, you can see the options whether this option is given in the first choice or second choice. So we can eliminate it, but sometimes it may not be possible. But there is always a chance for the leaving out the question, because it is a negative marks also there. Leaving out the question is also a intelligent option for the student. So in the entire first year, when we see the chapter wise, so more questions can be asked from the classification, whether it is a biological classification or a plant kingdom, and this classification requires a lot of memory power for the student. Then concept based questions can be given from the ecology as well as in the cell division, and then in the case of the reproduction. So to study thoroughly this first year topics, so we need thorough study of all the chapters together, then each chapter separately, and analyze the different questions possibility. Then what is the possibility of different questions, how they can be asked then. Then we can see some questions, sometimes it may be asked in the examinations, a diagram may be given or a figure may be given. You have to identify the different parts of the plant or different parts given there, or sometimes characters of that part. So sometimes we can give, for example, raspberry may be given or strawberry fruit may be given. The fruit you cannot identify sometimes, or even though if you identify, different morphological aspects of the fruit is very important. Suppose a green color structures may be there below the fruit. So these green color structures, whether they are bracts or whether they are sepals, the student must be very careful, analyze it. And this fruit is aggregate fruit that is developing from apocarpus condition. So this green parts cannot be bracts below the flower, but in general we call it as a bract. So these kind of confusing aspects must be safely answered by seeing only the options. So those cannot be seen in the textbooks. So when we see the entire first year, so once again, so anatomy part is difficult for the student to understand, but very few questions can be asked from the anatomy. Then ecology is there, so where there is a possibility of the analytical questions. In the biological classification or in the plant kingdom, confusion must not be there, the 5 kingdom classification and 2 kingdom classification. In general, when we study the plant groups, we always follow the 2 kingdom classification. 5 kingdom classification is only for the purpose of the academics. So where the 5 kingdom classification, what are the different groups on the basis of what characters they have separated, that is a very important.